Today on Encounters USA, it's the Metaline Falls Bigfoot Festival. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot Hunter Stephen Major's movie debut. It is the Sullivan Creek Sasquatch. We're also going to be talking about the new Bigfoot documentary from Animal Photographer Jason Humber. In addition, we'll have updates on speakers at the Metaline Falls Bigfoot Festival. We'll have a short announcement concerning Encounters USA and Stephen Major's Extreme Expeditions Northwest, and a number of other great surprises. So stick around. You don't want to miss this one. Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Hines for Encounters USA. We are your one-stop podcast and YouTube channel for all things alien, Bigfoot, and Dogman. So relax, kick up your feet, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Encounters USA. We have a number of announcements and I would want to say breakthroughs, but we have a number of things that we need to tell you. We have updates, and we're talking about the Metaline Bigfoot Festival today. And a lot of the things that we're talking about really center around that. We're going to be talking about some changes coming for Encounters USA, good changes, and I'm sure that all of you Encounters USA fans are going to be excited to hear what's going on with Encounters USA. And while I'm at it, let me also mention that Encounters USA started as a podcast. Actually, when I started it, I didn't know what it was going to be, but we have always been a podcast. We also do research, but up until now, I've only done research that has been done by other people, and I'll go out and look at the scene and show people where this encounter happened, because a lot of the stuff happened like back in the 80s, 70s, when they didn't have the technology or the camera, ability to show you and give you a really good idea of what the encounter was like. Well, all of that is changing now because Encounters USA has acquired a number of, technological advances. We have the capability to make movie quality video now. We have FLIR technology. We have gimbals. We have the ability to basically move water, four-wheel drive, wherever we need to go, pretty much we can get there. And so Encounters USA will still be the podcast, still the YouTube channel, but now we're going to be out in the field a lot more. And actually starting tomorrow, we're going to be out testing our equipment, and we're going to go out and do a couple dry runs because we're going out to an investigation area, and we're going to be doing some really unique stuff. So you're going to want to stay tuned to Encounters USA. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you might want to do that, because we have really got some great people coming on. We've got some great investigations. And remember, we're not just Bigfoot, we're aliens and Dogman too. All right, so let's get into the Metaline Falls deal. Now, let me start out by saying that, first of all, William Bisson, who is the organizer of the Metaline Falls Bigfoot Festival, this is going to be news to you, but it's not news to Amy Boo. The fact is, I interviewed them, and on Zoom how you get 40 minutes and then they break it if you have the free version. Well, what happened was we did the first interview, the first 40 minutes. we said, yeah, let's continue because we still have some stuff to talk about. And then when it came time to do the second interview, one of the guys was late. So I was sitting there talking to the first one, and as it happened, the second person came on. We started chatting. Oh, good, you're here. You're here. Well, let's go, And I forgot to press record. So, William Bisson, I am sorry about that, but sometimes that happens, and don't blame me, blame Zoom or blame Amy Boo, because I've already told her this was her fault. And so it's not going to be a surprise when you say, Amy, why did you do that and mess up that podcast? There's actually an upside to this, though. And the upside is this. There have been changes that have been, almost daily, ever since I got into this Metaline Falls Bigfoot thing. There have been changes daily. A lot of them center around Stephen Major and his extreme expeditions, but there's other things too. So before we get into all of that, let's get into who is going to be speaking at the festival. And I'm telling you this because this is what William told me, and this was supposed to be in the podcast. Now, unfortunately, in the podcast, William also told us who killed JFK. He told us if there is life on Mars. He told us what the entire meaning of life is. And he told us the winning lottery numbers for the next big lotto thing. Well, the fact of the matter is, I did forget to press record. So all that knowledge is now, like Nixon's 18 minutes on his tapes, gone for good. But maybe if you go to the Metaline Falls Bigfoot Festival on June 19th and 20th and find William Bisson, you can ask him, who did kill JFK? Is there life on Mars? And another question you might want to ask William is, where can I find Bigfoot? So that'll be sticking more to the topic of the Metaline Bigfoot Festival. So I'm going to tell you what Bill told me, and I'm just passing this along because this is the updates on the speakers according to Bill. After this, we're going to be talking about other updates that Bill might not even know about. In fact, nobody even knows about except for me and the people who have told me this. So the first thing that person I want to mention who's going to be speaking there is Dr. Robert Ali. Now, Dr. Robert Ali is a Bigfoot researcher in Alaska, the Panhandle, Juneau, around that, Sitka, around that area. Very interested to talk to him. And one of the reasons I'm very interested to talk to him is that at the Sasquatch Summit of 2019, he was the only person nice enough to come up to me, or didn't come up to me. He saw me talking to somebody else, and he said, well, you can interview me if you like. And I said, oh, I've got to interview Bob Gimlin. And so I did an interview Dr. Ali, and I regret it ever since. So I guarantee you, Encounters USA fans, we're going to be talking to Dr. Robert Ali as soon as we can. Now, in the past few weeks, we've been talking to some Stephen Major, and we've been talking to investigator and author Larry Beans Baxter, and he accompanied Stephen Major on his expedition to Port Chatham in Alaska. And Larry Baxter is the author of Abandoned, and it's the horror and history of Port Chatham, Alaska, or the history and horror of Port Chatham, Alaska. But just look up Abandoned and Larry Beans Baxter, and you'll find that book. And I mean, if you watch the documentary, and that is In Search of the Fort Chatham Hairy Man, and I don't have the thing with me, but I'll flash it on the screen here or there, and you can see the title for yourself. So Larry Beans Baxter is going to be there. Is Stephen Major going to be there? No. Speaking, no. Will he be there? Yes. But as far as I understand it, he's not speaking. He's only going to be debuting his movie, Sullivan Creek Sasquatch. Now, I just debuted, I did a blog, a review of his last movie, Northwest Bigfoot Encounters, or Bigfoot Encounters in the Northwest. Again, I'll flash it up here, but I did a review of that movie, and I'm going to say right now, it's going to be great stuff. Really get out there, really, get your hands dirty. Bigfoot research. Not a 50 camera film crew out there, just 6 or 7 people out going through the brush looking for signs of, an elusive creature. So we've got Larry Beans is going to be there. And also, and I just want to make it clear that although he will be debuting his movie, Stephen Major will not be speaking as far as I know. Now, for me to say Stephen Major will not be speaking, that's kind of hard to say. But as far as officially at the movie or at the event, I've not heard that he's going to be speaking. I've only heard that he's not going to be speaking. Next on the list is Tom Cantrell. Tom Cantrell was on my podcast about 6 or 7 months ago, and he was talking about his most recent book, and that is Sasquatch Face to Face. So it's going to be great to hear from my old friend Tom, and we always have a good time when we're, yucking it up. So it's going to be good to hear from him. Of course, Amy Boo, who you're going to be hearing from in just a few minutes, is also going to be on the at the Metaline Falls Bigfoot Festival. I was going to say on the podcast. She is on the podcast, but also she's going to be speaking at the Bigfoot Festival. And for those of you who don't know Amy, who doesn't know Amy Boo, Amy is a Bigfoot researcher, and she's an educator in Ohio, and she works a lot with children and with zoological issues. So, and also Amy is active with our own Northwest Olympic Bigfoot project. So she gets updates on those and interprets data, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really interesting interview with Amy in a second. And it's going to be an even more interesting time when you get out to the festival. So there's going to be a total of 12 people speaking. The rest of them, with all of this other information, has been lost to history, but you can get it from somebody that's probably on the Metaline Falls program calendar or whatever. But the important thing I want you to know is that none other than Bob Gimlin is going to be at the Metaline Bigfoot Festival. Bob Gimlin. Now, I had the honor and pleasure of interviewing Bob at the Sasquatch Summit in 2019, and we had a great time. And so I can't wait to see Bob again, and I'm sure he's got some great stories that, he always does. So it's going to be really nice to see Bob. So Bob's going to be there. And so that is the nuts and bolts of what William Bisson knows about what's happening at the festival. Behind the scenes, there are other things happening at the festival. Now, these are not going to be speakers, but we all remember my friend Rich Germeau. Rich Germeau had Bigfoot encounters out at La Push, Harstein Island, and at Lake Cushman. Now, if you've seen, I'm going to leave a link in the description, whatever. I'll flash the thumbnail up here so you can see it, what it looks like. But Rich took me and showed me these different places where he had encounters. And one of the places he had encounters and interactions with a clan of Sasquatch was at Lake Cushman. And this is on the Hood Canal. Now, Rich took me back and showed me this area, but before he showed me the area where he was leaving things and, he was interacting with these Sasquatch, we walked through a property and he said, you can't take pictures of this, but people sat here and sang songs and talked and laughed. And the Sasquatch would just come down and sit right in the brush, right outside the little, it was a clearing, grass. And right outside of that clearing, everything beyond is mountains and forest. But they would come down to the edge of the clearing and sit and listen, and they could see their eyes. And there was interaction, and I guess they gave them fruit and whatever. And so they had social interactions. Now, the cool thing about this is that, well, it gets cooler, but there was not only the Bigfoot, but this person that owned the property said there was a lot of UFO activity. So now the cool part, because we are aliens, Bigfoot, and Dogman, we're going to actually be talking to the guy who owned the property, who Rich Germau told me about. Oh yeah, these guys had interactions here. We're going to be talking to him at Metaline Falls. We're still working on getting him a ticket. So Bill, it's very important that you get him a ticket. And also, Rich Germau has informed me that he's going to be at Metaline Falls as well. So added bonus right there. It's like Metaline Falls is the gathering spot for all of these famous Bigfoot researchers. So it's going to be great stuff. Now, moving on, I need to go into what is called, in most cases, an editorial. So I'll call it that. This is an editorial comment. Now, for my listeners, viewers, and readers on Encounters USA, I want to make a special announcement that is going to be great news for everyone. As you know, Encounters USA is a podcast in search of the paranormal. It is, it was, and it always will be the policy of Encounters USA to support authors and filmmakers who are spending their time and resources in the search for the truth to some of life's greatest questions. Of course, the greatest question of all, why are we here, is tied up or hidden in a number of other mysteries, all with the same answer. Someone is scared. You will find out what is really going on. That is why Encounters USA supports those who wish to bring us the truth. Now, 2 years ago, we established a cooperative relationship with the UFO I-Team. I was able to accompany them on 2 successful research projects. I was also able to see their fabulous work at ECETI Ranch. Much like the Beatles, internal politics unfortunately broke up the UFO I-Team. A mere shell of its former self, it now relegates its time to Facebook live feeds and a crochet by the numbers YouTube channel. The good news is, a few weeks ago, I met a man not unlike Michael Hall, Judge Michael Hall of the UFO I-Team. He was a man with a plan, and that plan is to find Bigfoot. No matter who he has to step on or run over to do it. He told me he likes what I was doing with Encounters USA. He asked me if I would be interested in working with him. I told him, sure, anything, as long as I can get an interview. He didn't agree to the interview. Instead, he kept going on about what was wrong with my show. Of course, we do understand there has to be some kind of litmus test as to who we interview and support. Up until now, this test was limited to visible breath on a mirror and a pulse. I wasn't aware of that until Stephen thankfully pointed it out. Besides making me work as hard as possible and saying anything necessary in order to get an interview, Stephen Major continued to explain what he didn't like about me and my show. As it turns out, much like the nearly defunct UFO I-Team, Stephen wants me to join forces with his extreme expeditions people, just like the UFO I-Team. Of course, it is a great honor to be asked to join with Extreme Expeditions Northwest. As I've stated in my first blog about Stephen, I have a lot of respect for anyone with a vision to achieve a goal like finding definitive proof of the Sasquatch. I also have a lot of respect for anyone who stops talking and does something about their goals and their own quest for the truth. So, from now on, Encounters USA will be teaming up with the Extreme Expeditions Northwest team. That means I'll be accompanying Stephen on his expeditions, taking my own video, doing my own stories, and following the search for Encounters USA with Extreme Expeditions Northwest. A better way to understand my partnership is this. You wouldn't go to a softball tournament to see a football game. That's why I picked Stephen Major long before he picked me. The game is on, and you're going to have front row seats. So now, thank you for listening to the podcast. You're going to hear Amy Boo and William Bisson. Unfortunately, Amy had just gotten over COVID. She was a saint for even agreeing to do the podcast. And I'm really sorry about what happened with the second part of the recording, but I think this worked out better. And I just want everybody to know that Amy's much better now and everything is fine and everything's going to be fine at the festival. And William assured me during the interview, if it's not in this part, that the precautions will be taken and people will be encouraged to do their social distancing, etc. So if you're worried about the spread of this disease, then you really don't have to be, and please don't let that determine whether or not you go or not. So without further ado, here is my interview with William Bisson and Amy Boo. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another amazing episode of Encounters USA. Today, I was almost going to say tonight because we're actually recording at night. I've got Amy Boo and I've got William Bisson, who is going to join the podcast a little bit later. But first of all, let's say hello to Amy Boo. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Matthew. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being on. I guess, while we wait for Bill, we can spend a little bit of time talking about what you've been up to lately. And you have had the COVID-19 virus.
I have. It got me. We tried to be careful and everything, and then just got unlucky, I guess. Got it from somebody, and then I think the worst part of it was I got really sick, and Lester, my fiance, got really sick. But the worst part was that I didn't know I had it, and I didn't know I had been exposed to it, and I got a couple other people sick. So that actually was the worst part because I was so worried about them. But I mean, like, they were so gracious about it, and they're just says the times we live in, you just don't know, and you don't know who's going to get really sick or not. So
Yeah.
we're getting better. I just am still out of breath a lot. It's, I had a double pneumonia from it, and tired, but other than that, like, so much better. So I'm not complaining. I feel very blessed to be getting better.
So you got pneumonia from it?
It's COVID pneumonia. Yeah, I had it in both lungs. Pretty bad.
So I don't really. I know enough about it when it started out. I did some stuff on it, just enough to know that they don't really know what it is, and I still don't think they know what it is.
No, but, I agree. I mean, that's what they said. The doctors, when Lester was in there, I couldn't go visit him, but they said there's not really COVID doctors because there's just a bunch of different doctors on a team that are trying to figure it out and make you better because they don't know how to fight it necessarily. They do their best, and they were great at our hospital, and he's on the mend. But it's just so weird. It affects people differently. So,
Yeah, I understand that. And, from what I saw of it, it really looks to me like they didn't know what it was, and they told you to do everything that you could to kill yourself if you got it. Stay inside, don't get fresh air, don't get vitamin D, don't stay healthy.
You're supposed to take vitamin D. I disagree. I think I don't know. We don't want it to be a whole COVID thing, but I was more skeptical of things and stuff until, like, I have a friend who she said she wasn't going to get the vaccine until she saw Lester, because he came home like an old man. It like ravaged him, and just what it can do to someone besides them dying, I don't know. We still went outside and exercised and stuff and take our vitamins and everything and tried to be healthy. But I try very hard not to tell anybody else what to think unless it's on my Facebook page.
Yeah, but you survived it.
We survived it.
You did things to try to stay healthy.
I don't know if our health will ever be the same, especially his. I mean, I don't know. Hopefully we could be those long haulers and then eventually feel better, but it really took a toll. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't wish it on anybody is all I hope.
Yeah.
But thank you for the good wishes and everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And so are you fully recovered now? Is there a chance you could? No,
I mean, I'm so much better. Like I said, I'm not complaining, but I started back to work. I have some jobs that I do at home, and then I started back to work this week. And again, glad to be there and everything, but it's difficult because I can't walk up the stairs without like resting and sucking wind up there because it's just my lungs, and just the energy or lack of it is crazy. And then you start shaking, and it's hard. Lester went back to work 2 days ago. He missed a month of work, and he never misses work. Wow. And I just feel, because I'm protective and I love him, like I feel like he is probably doing too much too soon. Month sounds like a long time, but just for how bad he had it and how much oxygen he was on and almost on a respirator and stuff. I just hope his work doesn't make him more sick, because then they'll have to deal with me.
Okay.
If they're too demanding. That's all I'm going to say. But so far, they've been very nice.
Yeah.
So,
Amy, we just got Bill into the room. So, Bill, welcome to Encounters USA.
Hi, guys.
Hi. We're talking about fun stuff like being sick and everything.
Yeah, we're catching up on Amy's COVID situation.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I am so happy to be feeling better, and I know we'll get better every day. It was just very scary. It was very scary. So,
well, it can be, because you don't know if you're going to be, lightly sick or on a ventilator.
Yeah, like I know people who didn't even know they had it, and then you just don't know. So I was just telling Matthew that I always took it seriously, but maybe not enough before,
Yeah.
so
Well,
hindsight's 2020.
I take anything seriously when they start saying there's a pandemic and 1.5 million people are going to
Oh
die,
yeah,
and
yeah.
um,
I just mean to the extent
we were
where,
all taking it serious at first, but after a while,
yes,
the,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like I was really uber serious and precautious at first, and then where I know pretty much where we got it from, we weren't as careful, and we were around people, and I don't blame them. They didn't know they were sick, and then I didn't know I was sick. But all I know is, and I don't try to tell anybody what to think, but the whole thing with the masks and stuff, I personally feel it's important to try to protect each other,
oh yeah,
because really wearing the mask to not give it to the other people. And in my experience, and other people have other experiences, but in my experience, the people I, foolishly, because I thought we were far enough away or whatever, took my mask off, they all three got sick. And the people I had it on, they didn't. I had a good mask too. So there's difference, like if you have a good mask and one where your glasses are all fogging up because it's not very, very tight or whatever. So I was saying that's what makes me feel the worst is how I got other people sick. I didn't know I'd been exposed. I didn't know anything. So they forgive me. I forgive the people. It's not a matter of that. It's just, if they would have, I would have felt terrible if something bad would have happened to them.
just let you know, I got tested for COVID yesterday, so we're all safe here right now.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm not sure. I was going to actually wear a mask because I'm going, well, maybe there's still some hanging on.
No, I'm good. I'm back at work and everything. And like I said, I feel very blessed and thankful. So I'm not saying that. I'm just tired.
Well,
Hopefully we'll all make it through.
Yeah. So, but Lester's all right. He's back to work.
He's all right. He's just, my opinion is he's not all the way all right. He just needs to rest a little bit more. But then I'm his nurse here, not really, but I try to be.
Well, Amy,
he's getting better.
I have a few little messages from you saying you've got 4 jobs. So who's the one that needs to take it easy?
I know.
You sound like my wife.
I know, right? They're all like, well, one is full-time now that I wasn't expecting, and it's only for a few months. So the other ones are like part-time that I kind of put together as a puzzle. And so the full-time one came in like last Thursday or whatever, but we found, or maybe it was a week ago Thursday that I found out about it. And I'm like, should I, shouldn't I? And I'm like, I can do anything for 3 months. And now I'm 2 days in and I'm like, was I stupid? But I can do it. I have a color-coded calendar, so I know when I can do everything, and I just like have to stick to that. So I can do it.
All right. Well, Amy, could you imagine if something had happened to you? People, the Bigfoot community would be just devastated.
Well, maybe some of them, not all of them.
Well, I know. That's.
Oh, believe me, not all of them. Some of them might be having a party.
I don't think I'm on that level yet, Amy, but that's okay.
Good.
I've got other levels and other fields of government that people aren't too happy with me, but
Right.
So Amy, we're going to stop now. We're going to shift over, and this is Bill's first time on Encounters USA, so I don't want him to think that we're giving him the cold shoulder his first time out. Usually we give you about 15 minutes. So okay. Bill, first of all, is it Bill or William? What are you more comfortable with?
I'm fine with Bill. Okay. I've had people call me William, but you can call me what you need to there, Matt.
Okay. So thanks so much for being on the podcast. I looked at the Metaline Festival and I saw a couple things on YouTube, and it looks really exciting, and I'm excited about it just because of the area you're in. So yes. I think you've got a lot of Bigfoot activity up there. And so today's podcast, I'd really like to talk about your activity up there and what you guys expect out of the Metaline Festival. So, Bill, can you start off by giving us a little bit of background on yourself for people who don't know you?
Well, sure. I grew up in
about 1 or 2 people.
I grew up in a little town just southwest of where I'm at right now, up in out in the farm countries, just outside of Spokane. So I was always been a kid that always living out on a farm and stuff. You know, I got to do a lot of exploring and you know, nature and everything else. So you know, growing up, it was always nothing for me to be out on the ponds or going and you know, doing a little hunting, being out on the farmlands and stuff like that. So I've always been an outdoor person. Always enjoyed hunting, and then I went to work for Burlington Northern Saturday Railroad with a 32-year career there. So when I no longer worked there, of course, my wife was saying we need to move back like out in the country, and I had to agree with her because that's my enjoyment. So I moved up here to Metaline, Washington, and of course, right up in the Bigfoot country. So I did find some Bigfoot prints when I was out hunting at 17, and I knew what they were, but I wasn't going to tell anybody because you know you just don't go and start that. And I had seen an article in our little Davenport Times a couple months after that some other people seen these Bigfoot prints 8 miles west of where I was at. So, you know, a little vindication of that's what after that I knew what I'd seen because somebody else had seen them too. So, you know, believing, yeah, you know, that's I'm a realist. I like to be able to prove things, and of course, getting back into this Bigfoot, it's really enjoyable because it is a passion that was from a long time ago, knowing about it. But here I am today, you know, a little over, you know, 40 years later.
So you went from your professional career, retired now, and so now you're actively pursuing your research.
Yeah, that's correct. You know, and I wouldn't exactly call it research. It's just you know, research could be one thing or another, but it's just the enjoyment of the discovery, I guess you would say. You know, the things I've discovered up here, the things I've heard, you know, people talking, you know, and be able to to find what everybody else has been running around for a long time. You know, if I'm the one that's going to make some discoveries that are major or have somebody else that I know make these discoveries is just kind of like it's kind of like being a team, you know, being on the team. I enjoy being on the team today.
Mm-hmm. So did you, when you got up to Metaline, did you know there was a lot of Bigfoot activity up there, or did you
No,
find out
actually I came up here because there's gold up in this area here, and I've always been a prospector. So it was just kind of one of those things that all of a sudden, you know, I'm down on a creek one night and I heard a woohoo that wasn't what I recognized, and I knew it wasn't human. And so I talked to my friend Steve Major, who has been in the Bigfoot field for a while, and I said, Steve, we might have some Bigfoots up here, and you know, our other research and investigations up here are leading more and more to the reality that there's something up here, and we'll have to keep the research and doing our camera work and doing our investigations and see if we can prove that. But a lot of activity up here that people talk about all the time. So, you know.
Okay, so do you have is there, like, I guess I want to ask, is there information you have? Are there of history of Bigfoot in the area that you know about, or is it more of people just coming with their stories?
No, there's people that have actually talked about actual sightings, rocks being thrown at them, you know, sounds. Like the one person was talking about that they actually seen something standing up on two legs, running or walking swiftly across the road. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that you know, when you have personal encounters like that people talk about, you know, and that's where we got sightings from here all the way across to Colville.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a young man, they talked about something walking across the wheat fields, and people would spot that. So, this whole area up here, all through this eastern Washington, has been known for sightings. So, just like my footprints when I was 17 and ran across them, I knew what they were, but like I said, I just didn't want to say anything to anybody, and then it just kind of put it in the back of my mind and kept hunting, and so we have found some evidence up here of footprints. So that's another exciting thing, because when you're finding actual things and other small details of discoveries that we can't say for sure what made the different stick structures and stuff, but we're the only thing we can do is just keep investigating. But we're going to be doing a lot more work up here before and during the Bigfoot Festival and afterwards. I think it's basically I'd like to have that discovery made and verified. That it would help settle the dust, as I would say, of this Bigfoot hunting community, and then we could start working on research on not trying to change their habitat or anything, but to be able to better protect them, I would say, because I'm kind of into that thing. I don't believe in shooting one. I believe that I'm one of those type of people. Yes, I will carry a firearm out in the woods, but I don't have it out there for offense. I have it for defense. We got bears, cougars, wolves up here and stuff like that. So and they're not exactly as friendly. I'm always hoping Bigfoot and I might wave and be the cool guys. Hey, how you doing today? And let them just do their thing, or But
okay, well let's get over to Amy. I'm Amy. I thank you so much for doing the podcast. I know you feel terrible.
I'm happy to do it. It makes me happy to be back doing Bigfoot stuff. So thank you.
Okay, so you're a very methodical person. I know that. What do you know about this area that you're going to? And before I go any farther, let me just say that we're going to be talking about the Metaline Festival with Bill, but Amy is going to be speaking at the Metaline Bigfoot Festival on June 19th and 20th. And so that's one of the reasons we have Amy on the podcast. The other one is because Amy probably has a lot of information about the area. So what do you got for us?
Well, what county is Metaline Falls in, Bill?
Ponderay County.
And how far is that from Stevens County?
Stevens County is about 60 miles. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Yes, I know we were
podcast.
Yes,
okay.
Time for the podcast.
It's not far.
No, we're about 60 miles straight over, going west.
Right.
A little drop and then straight over. So okay. we have the mountain ranges that are just in between the two counties.
No, I've never, Matthew, I've never been to Metaline Falls, but I've been to Stevens County. And Bill and I were actually talking last week about some of that. And I'll tell you what, I went to Stevens County. We filmed a documentary with Stephen Major. Myself, Larry Beans Baxter was there. Will was there. I can't even remember. I do have that COVID brain where I forget things too. But, and Stephen, we did that after Stephen's conference one year. I think it was 2 years ago. And we filmed a documentary. And I will tell you that Stevens County is the scariest place I've ever been Bigfooting. When I first started Bigfooting, I was more nervous to be out in the dark and all that stuff. And I kind of quickly, that fear went away, like that particular fear. But Stevens County, like I just remember like sitting there, and I think might be a scene. It hasn't come out yet, but like I have my whatever sweater or whatever I was wearing, like pulled up to here. My cat is joining us, Macaroni, and just like sitting there, like almost shaking because it just. I don't know how to even explain it. It just had a really weird feel to it. I've been to the coast of the Pacific Northwest, out to the Olympic National Peninsula and all of that several times, but I had never been to Eastern Washington, and I was really, I don't know if shocked is the right word, but surprised about how very different it was, although I shouldn't have been, because it's like a whole different, geographical location. So it wasn't that, but we just were hearing, like, pretty much right away, like, crazy sounds. We had, it wasn't just like Bigfoot. Like, I go to Pennsylvania a lot, and there's black bear. I've met up with a black bear here or there, they're not real scary. They're intimidating, but not real scary, because they basically run away from you. But, thinking about how there could be grizzly bears or really big bears, and walking along and looking for prints and finding whatever kind of bear. It was like a huge bear print and cougar prints and large canine prints. It's a whole different story going to in Ohio or PA and going out there. And although I've been to Oregon, and everything else. But anyway, there was one night I remember being in my tent trying to sleep and just heard this god awful hollering yell that I couldn't place with anything else. And I always tell people, I was just at an outdoor show. That was my first outing after being like flat on the couch for a month. Was this past weekend. I did reduced hours at an outdoor show I usually do. And I tell people that I don't know all the animal sounds there are, especially not in the state that I'm not in. I'm an Ohio certified volunteer naturalist, and I've taken other classes about mammals and different things, but I don't know everything. But this thing, whatever it was crazy loud. And I tell people, like, they'll be like, oh, have you ever seen Bigfoot? Has this happened or has this happened? And I tell them that I think I'm the worst Bigfooter ever, because 99.9% of the time I go out and nothing ever happens, and I think, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to make stuff up, but every once in a while you have something interesting that happens that makes you go, like, maybe these are real. Well, I'll tell you, in Stevens County, we were having a lot of things happen, and I think it was just the amount of it, and right away, and Beans found what looked to be footprints. It just was a crazy place. It was, and I want to go back.
Yeah.
I was scared all the time, but I still want to go back. So it was fun.
Well, it seems to me, Bill, I was watching some of the people talking on YouTube, and there's a great story about, is it the Metaline Falls? Is that the Metaline River there?
That's the Pend Oreille River that runs through there. Okay. The Pend Oreille River actually runs north instead of southwestern. So it goes in from Montana and goes north up into Canada, then drops back down. So talk about crazy area.
Now, so
yeah.
Ignore my nodding.
Well, so yeah, we camped or didn't camp. We stayed out at a cabin a few years ago on the Clark Fork. And at the time, I wasn't really into this Bigfoot thing. We were on vacation from Saudi, actually. And so I didn't know anything about it. But what I was trying to allude to was there's the story some guy was telling about back in the day. Some native took a settler or a prospector up and said, this is as far as we go. And that's pretty much it for that area, because like even Metaline Falls, when you look at that area on a map, I mean, that's really accessible. And if somebody's going to go, hide out and establish their territory, that's going to definitely be it. So
we have just northeast of us, we have 64 square miles of wilderness, government wilderness. So, nothing can go up there. Nobody can drive up in there. You can hike up in there, but there's nothing in there. It's all, rugged and rustic. So,
yeah.
And then, of course, going over to Stevens County is regular mountains, regular Forest Service. So that's a little bit more accessible. They have roads and stuff that can go in there. But yes, you are correct. There's lots of places for somebody or something bipedal to hide.
I can't wait to go.
Well, so Bill, do you know, I don't know how long you've been doing this. Do you know Grover Krantz? Have you ever
No, no,
No. Okay. But have you heard of him?
I've heard of the name. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm a cougar. I think I've mentioned that a few times on this podcast. Grover was my neighbor, and he was a professor at Washington State University, and he had I don't know, a guy that took care of his house, but he'd let us go in and check out all of his Bigfoot, stuff, and so that was pretty cool. But I think he did most of his research in Stevens County and up there where you are. I don't know exactly, but and also I had Kyle and Mantra on here a few weeks ago from Walla Walla, and a lot of stuff happened. I don't know what count. I think that's Skamania.
No, that's
a lot of stuff happening
that's over
down
on the
there.
coast. I think. Don't quote me, Grant. I should do my.
I don't know.
Geographics better.
I just can't. I don't even know what Skamania County is. Don't even know if it exists. So anyway, but that whole area over there is it's really the Wild West, Amy, and that's I'll just give you a little example. The first time my wife went camping in the United States, we went to some park out there in Stevens County, and the first thing the woman says when we got in the campground is, "Well, be careful. There's a black bear that's running through the campground." And my wife, a black bear, and so he didn't sleep that night, but I did. So.
Right. And
but
black bears, I think the black bear, the bears out your way are a little more scary. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the whole atmosphere too.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I'm jealous of your Grover Krantz story, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I would. I wish I would have known, but this is back in the early '90s, and Bigfoot. That's not really anybody's concern. Actually, right. At the time, my roommate was into they just released the Roswell stuff. So the big thing was UFOs at the time. And look at us now, we're looking at Bigfoot and UFOs together. So before we go down that road, Bill, can you give us a little bit of background on the festival and your association with it? What's your role in it?
Well, as we started out with Steve Major, he wanted to have a Bigfoot town hall up here, and he asked me if I could put it together and everything. I said, well, I could work on it. And of course, we had some great speakers that Steve had lined up, and we had our Cutter Theater up here, which holds about 158 people. We filled all the seats. We had a great dinner, and we got a lot of information from people. And we decided to see if we can do it again and continue with this festival. So we're opening it up for the whole town this year. We're going to have vendors, speakers, and it's just I think it's going to blossom as we hope into a yearly event, which will be really a lot of fun. And then of course we're right in the middle of the woods and everything. So the people want to come up here and go camping and check the area out and do a little Bigfoot research. They won't have to go far. So it's kind of like a win-win for people. It's not like in a big city where you go in and you do your Bigfoot seminars and you step out the door and you're on the streets. Up here it's like you step out the door and you're right in the woods. So
all right. Well, let's talk about logistics here because I haven't got that ticket yet, and I want to go camping, and definitely I want to do some Bigfoot investigations. So, am I going to be able to? Are there places still available to camp?
There's a lot of Forest Service up here. There's some RV parks that are open. There's places where people just drive off and can just camp out in the woods.
And are never seen again.
Well, sometimes that does happen, but if you don't get too far off the beaten path, I do have friends up here that do search and rescue, so we could always get them out there. They're good volunteers to do that stuff.
Yeah, give them something to do. So so is there going to be investigations going on during the festival?
Well, I'm pretty sure the main part of the festival there will be people up this way and are going to be going out and doing a little investigating and then coming in on we're going to have it on 19th and 20th, Saturday and Sunday. So, we're not holding people here, but they're more than welcome to go out and do their own research and stuff. We got a beautiful area up here. We've got a lot of creeks, Sullivan Lake area, down below Ione. There's been a lot of sightings of Bigfoot. We got the Kalispell Reservation. It's not too hard. Like I said, it's not too hard to find spots up here to just get out of your rig and just start walking because, sometimes a good hunter, they'll go all day and then come back to their rig and there's their animal they've been searching for all day. So, we don't know who's going to find the great evidence and stuff, but I welcome anybody to come up here and to prove that existence. It's not just me, but it's everybody, has got that fair chance to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, like Charlie's, what is that? The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Who's going to get that golden Bigfoot ticket? So, Amy, are you going to invest? Are you going to do anything besides speak at the festival?
Well, I'm going to be hanging around town and speaking during the festival, but I'm going to be going out afterwards, the week afterwards. So I'm flying out there and then I'm staying for the following week. I'm going to a different event the next weekend and then doing a little more camping. So I always try to, if I'm invited to speak somewhere, which I'm happy to do, and it's a lot of fun, I always try to get some research in at the same time, especially when I'm out, in the PNW. You got to get out in the woods.
Yeah, exactly. And we should have some nice weather. It'll be the end of the rainy season, hopefully. Mm-hmm. So are you going to divulge where you're speaking at after this? Not to take any of the sunshine away?
No, it's fine. There's just been so many things that have been canceled last year. I was supposed to be out in Alaska. I was supposed to be out with the Navajo last year. And I'm not complaining, again, hopefully it'll happen again some other time. But I have cut down a bit, even before I got sick. I've cut down a bit on some events because, not just because all the jobs, because those kind of are recent, but because I'm also writing a book and I really want to get it done. And I just want to be out in the woods more because that's what I really love to do. And that's what I started doing, when I got into the subject of Bigfoot. And I want to get back to, I had been taking some survival classes. I haven't taken one in a while. Get back to that and really do a lot more research. I have my own area out in the Allegheny National Forest that I have a lot of audio and stuff. Not everybody knows that about me, that I actually do that kind of research because I spend so much time on my Project Zoo book, which is a lot of coordinating of scientists and researchers and writing things and all that. It's more using your noggin and that kind of thing. We call ourselves a think tank, but I want to be not just speaking about Bigfoot, but I want to be in the woods. And the main reason I do speak is because Project Zoo Book was under the radar for so long, and we still are private about a lot of the things we do because of who we have in the group. Many of them can't say that they're interested in Bigfoot or it could affect their jobs. But now when I do go out to speak, it's not something I ever really pursued or ever thought that was going to happen. Again, I feel really blessed and lucky. Well, I'm a lucky girl that I get to do this, but it's to try to get more scientists interested. So a lot of times I'll go, I was at the Smoky Mountain Festival or Bigfoot conference last fall, and got a couple more scientists involved, and I'll speak here or there and got a couple more people interested. And that is basically why I put myself out there. I'm kind of the spokesperson, I guess, for it. And that's what I'm doing out there, because I'm not anybody special. I love what I do, and I love a lot of the people in the community and everything, but I'm really a teacher from Ohio that saw something strange. Not sure what it was, but changed my life, really. Now I'm like Don Quixote, not going to attack Bigfoot like the windmill, but on a mission.
Mhm.
So I will be doing some things, but some that are more local. I'm trying to think. I told you I keep forgetting everything about what's coming up this year. A lot of things at campgrounds, outdoor shows, which I started doing a few years ago. The first one I did, I was not sure how I was going to be received, but now I get tons and tons of reports from hunters and fishermen. So trying to mix things up a little bit, but I'm really, really focusing on my book this year.
All right. Listen, you guys, I do not have the paid account of Zoom. I'm cheap. So we're going to get cut off here in a minute. I have about 15 minutes of stuff I'd like to get through. Do you mind if we just pick that up and you guys got about 15 minutes?
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay. Well, we're going to stop this and then I'm going to send you the new link and we'll pick it up.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks. And I'll be right back to you.
All right.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining Encounters USA. That was William Bisson and Amy Boo for the Metaline Falls Bigfoot Festival. I certainly can't wait. So please stay tuned for Encounters USA. We have so many more exciting adventures coming up. And tomorrow we're going to be going out and testing some of the equipment we're going to be using on our research. So we're going to be posting that video fairly soon, probably next week sometime. And I didn't get to talk about it too much, but Jason Humber, who has just done a documentary about some Bigfoot research up in Canada, is going to be on the show on Monday. So it's really getting exciting here at Encounters USA. Subscribe, stay with us, and don't forget, you can support us by going to Encounters USA, picking up our merchandise. I have a Patreon channel, whatever. But if you want to see this kind of content and you want to see people that are actually out actively searching for what we're all looking for, and that is the truth, all you got to do is get yourself a shirt, get yourself a book, or give us a couple bucks every month on Patreon. And remember what we always say, always watch your back. Matthew Hines here. Just want to remind you, if you like this kind of content, subscribe to this channel, whether you're listening on podcast or watching on YouTube. Also, go to encountersusa.com for more videos and podcasts, all archived for your convenience. Also, we have a wonderful Encounters USA blog, as well as an Encounters USA paranormal shop for all of your paranormal apparel. So, not only can you watch your back, you can put some of our designs on yours as well. So we'll see you on down the road on Encounters USA.